All right, here. All right, we're starting the recording. Welcome to Horsin Around, a dumbass cast. I'm your host once again, Nick Bergadante. With me today, I have one very special in-person guest with some other friends along. If you'd like to introduce yourself, Jacob.
No, I want the other guests to go along first.
Oh, okay. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves? For all
Now I feel less special because you were like, oh, we have the one very special guest.
Well, he's here
the
in
white
person.
man,
This is the
right
first
after,
time that
like,
he's
watching
been here in
Lawrence of
person.
Arabia.
Yeah.
And you got, like, Dylan
Nick,
and I, the Brown Boys, who are like,
oh my god.
like, this is very Lawrence of Arabia of you.
I don't
topic of
think
today's
Nick
show.
learned anything from this movie now that I think about it.
Lawrence. Like I was talking to Justin, is like, did Lawrence Arabia or did Arabia really Lawrence? That might have been the question.
That is a strong question.
Wait, I said it.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Stealing
yeah,
jokes?
Yeah,
Stolen
Dylan's
valor?
crediting you.
Stolen valor?
Dylan credited you.
Yeah. Just
Dylan still, like Justin said, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Alright, I'm gonna...
Anyway, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is the second time Lawrence is convinced to go back to Arabia, because, like, the movie, like,
he's like,
everyone involved is just like, we're just doing this as a formality. Like, that's it.
I'm gonna deactivate
no,
this.
you gotta send little old B back to
Yeah.
back to Arabia. Oh, are you sure? Oh, whoa, is the
There we
Hey,
go.
look, it's me.
that movie
Hey, look, it's us.
definitely.
Alright, there we go. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Dylan?
Say,
Uh-huh.
that,
Yeah?
that
Yeah.
movie was interested in using. That movie really liked using a potential homosexual relationship to continuously
Yeah, let's talk about the
to
Q-rating.
keep alienating Lawrence as like a character.
Yeah.
part of his relationships. I thought that was interesting. An interesting facet of the time.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I think it's also one of the things that is talked about potentially about Lawrence, because much like Lawrence in the movie, like the actual person, the story Lawrence of Arabia is inspired by, also wasn't married and was rumored to be gay. And the movie definitely brings that to the forefront, where you're like, dude, him and Ollie are like,
They're exploring each other's bodies.
I didn't say that, Nick said that. That's kind of uncomfortable, Nick, in terms of, but like,
What?
like
Any other euphemism for being gay, and yet you went for that one.
yeah.
What?
But like these, like, it's very clear that like Lawrence and Ollie like love each other, and like that, how that relationship builds throughout the movie is like, I mean, that's the thing. Ollie starts out. I for me personally, I think Ollie is like easily my favorite character in the movie. I fucking love his character arc, and everything. But like, especially how the movie presents it, is Ollie shows up and like kills someone you've known for the first 15 minutes, and you're like, wow, what an asshole. And then by the end of the movie, you're like, wow, Ollie's actually like the only one.
Ollie's the only one who cares about Lawrence.
Yeah.
Lawrence doesn't care about Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good lord. Yeah, what was the first time that you saw this movie, Jacob?
I saw this movie in 70mm.
Oh my god,
God.
wow.
Oh my god.
But it was during I think it was 2019. It was 2019. Yeah, no, it was either 2019 or very early 2022 for obvious reasons.
2022?
Sorry, 2020.
Okay.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But it was one of these things where it was like a fandom event for like the anniversary of the movie, and I was like, I like movies. I feel like I gotta go see this. Like, it's 4 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's good, but there's like no way it lives up to the hype. And then I watched it, and I was like, this is what feels like what people mean when they mean like an epic.
When they
Like,
talk about true Kino.
Not true. I'm not talking about True Kino or anything like that. Like, this movie is what I would describe as an epic in the narrative sense of like, it is so large and vast, and like,
You could not condense this movie. Like,
no, it like, so much of this movie is almost about how long this movie is in order to tell it, because that's also partial to the point. That's why I liked rewatching the opening bit, because like, it's weird. It reminds me a lot of things like this and Citizen Kane are kind of about the same thing. But I like this almost a little bit more than Citizen Kane because I find its exploration of hubris very interesting and how the movie starts off with you being like, look at this fucking guy, he went on a bike ride and just fucking iced it, like, can you believe it? And then the entire movie like spends building him up. You're like, okay, this is like really white savory. But the entire payoff of that is no, he is literally that guy who just gets himself iced on the motorcycle. He has like zero willpower and is kind of a major fucking asshole who's full of himself. Yeah. And when people are like, yo, like Lawrence, like what the fuck? He's just like, I don't like blood. And then he's like, but it's because I really want to like,
I want to see more of it. I want to murder more people.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. For me personally, I really like it. It was very interesting watching a movie that is ostensibly commenting on white savior narratives by creating a white savior narrative and being like, can you believe this dumb fucking idiot thinks he's a white savior?
Yeah.
Can you think that this guy thinks he's like the most fucking powerful man on the planet because he's a fucking British guy who showed up in the desert one day?
I just the scene where he's like, is so confident. It's like, yeah, I'm brown.
No, this is very much like I said, this is a white savior story, and I'm gonna call it the white savior story, but like it's so
it's not like it's not like
it's aware of that.
Yeah, well, the entire exactly. Sorry, Pat. Yeah.
It's a like you said, it's a commentary about like white saviorism, and like it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, I went into this movie not like half expecting that. I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is a white savior story, but like, he's a soft boy, white boy. And then like, look, he's just a white guy.
Yeah,
he's kind of like, fucking, oh man, you know what? This culture really speaks to me because I get to like not do British proprietary stuff and I get to be a brown boy and like this rocks.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a brown guy now. And it's like, no, Lawrence, you're still a fucking colonizer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, he literally walks, he walks into the desert and is like, I'm gonna form an Arab nation. And you're like, what? And then, like, but the movie does a good job of buying you into understanding why Lawrence thinks he's literally fucking God. Because at points, he is good at his job. He is like, we should go across the desert. That's what we should do, and that kind of stuff. But all that does is go to serve his own ego, and that is like his own.
What the fuck is this?
Jesus, Dylan.
Oh, yeah.
What is this? Oh,
Lawrence
fucking
Gay Pride.
Dylan just sent a fucking dolly generated image.
Oh my god!
Gay Pride. Where's the pride? This just looks like
it's the only bit of color on his belt.
Oh. Are you sure that's not just the blood that he kept throwing on, having on his fucking on his white robes as symbolism for how fucked everything was?
I know we were joking about getting Joker pilled, but Lawrence of Arabia is unironically a better version of the movie Joker 2021.
You know what?
But which movie's getting a sequel, Jacob?
I'm gonna die.
That's a good fucking point. That's a good point.
If it's so good, where's Lawrence of Arabia 2?
Exactly.
Joker was 2019?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Joker was 2019, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember seeing that in theaters like pre-COVID.
Oh, that's true. Shit. I'm gonna die. Oh my god.
What
was I gonna say?
I don't know. I was just saying, like, as my first viewing, it was you weren't kidding. Like Jurassic Park Dominion, Jurassic World Dominion.
It feels longer than this.
Yeah,
thing.
It was like 2 hours something minutes, and it felt so much longer than this 3 hour 50-minute movie.
I was it had felt like literally like 30 minutes, and I looked down at my clock because I was like, I know it feels like that, but I know intermission's just around the corner, and it was like 4 o'clock, 2 hours after we started the movie. I was like, yeah, I'm right, intermission's right around the corner.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I don't know, as much shit as is deservedly given for Obi-Wan's actor fucking playing a brown guy, like they all did a good job with their roles, I think. The commentary, I love the commentary on like the military brass, like general just being like, look, I don't make decisions around here. I don't know what the British are gonna do with this place, but I just follow orders. Just like, yeah, I guess you fucking do, you piece of shit. You can't give them artillery because the politician said so, but you know, you're just following orders, so that's fine. And then yeah, Ali and what was the name of the leader of the brigands?
Stop saying the brigands, you fucking.
Who the fuck are you talking about?
Piece of shit.
The other main.
I can't say it.
Are you talking about Faisal?
People.
Are you talking about Faisal?
No, he's talking about the other one.
Abu Tayyib?
Yeah, Abu Tayyib. Thank you.
Abu Tayyib. Yeah, they I don't know. They did a good job of like. It wasn't necessarily like in a direct opposition to Ali, but he was definitely a different perspective on, you know.
It shows that these are like different groups of people.
Right, exactly, yeah. And I don't know, sometimes it's like Lawrence was just leaning into it because they wanted more blood sometimes, but other times it was just doing their own thing.
Yeah, exactly. One of the main points of this movie is that Lawrence's lie he tells himself is just a build-off of the lie he told, like...
everyone else.
At the start of the movie where he's like, nah, the British, like, we're doing this for you guys. Mm-hmm. And he just kept telling that to himself until he believed it, and you're like, oh. Anyway, I want to hear more from the people who this is their first time watching the movie, because I want to know.
I assume is it all of your first times as well, or?
It's my first time.
Yeah.
It was for me.
Oh, Justin's first time as well, and yet he knew about the river. Very interesting.
Seems like a fucking liar. Seems like a fucking liar.
Just famous scene.
Kind of sus. But yeah, what you guys?
Justin, not gonna lie.
What'd you guys think of it?
I think what Jacob said about an epic was pretty poignant. It felt very like Greek tale about this. Could be something maybe if he wasn't so flawed.
Yes.
No, I mean, yeah, I think I agree that it feels very much like a story straight out of Greece because it's just tackles Greek fucking story themes like fucking Hebrews and shit. Like, it's pretty straightforward.
I thought you said Hebrews.
Yeah, no, the known Greek themes of
the Hebrews.
of the Hebrews, yes.
To Damascus and Jerusalem.
It's all there. They got it all. Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I mean, you know, fucking. It's solid. It's a good movie. Did not expect to enjoy it as much as it did. I will say, it kind of panned out how I expected. Like storytelling and pacing wise, it panned out how I expected a movie of its time to pan out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is harkening back to when we watched Harkonnen. This is calling back to a little bit more personally when we watched To Be or Not to Be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're To Be or Not to Be the when was that? 1942?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the 1942 film was lightning quick, and I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
The pacing for this movie was definitely a lot slower, a lot more like taking its time with things. Still quicker than I expected, but it's still like kind of the overall story and the overall pacing and how they like planned everything out was like kind of like, oh, okay, I understand where this this movie was made in this time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was talking to Nick about earlier, where it's like there are a couple like about the length, because there are a couple of time difference things. Like something like this probably can't be made today because they need to get enough. What they need to do is demand enough of your time while also allowing them to run as many showings as possible, and that's sort of the trade-off. And for something like this, they're like, who gives a shit? This is fucking like the biggest fucking movie of all time. You're not gonna go watch it? You only got like one theater in town and like 2 other movies are playing. So like,
but studios aren't willing to take enough of a risk to make something that could be if somebody comes to them and is just like, I am going to make the best movie of all time in the current year, it's gonna be 4 hours. Like, I don't think any studio exec is gonna, even if they read the script, I don't know if they believe it. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say there'd be a lot of scenes that would be cut that I think added a good bit if this was made more modernly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, like, they had a whole mini arc where fucking Lawrence saves that one guy that got lost.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
And then he takes him back to camp, and it's like, oh, he went against what was probably the safer and, like, the safe play of just letting him die and continuing on with the main objective to selflessly try and save this one guy. And then, 15, 20 minutes later, maybe they're working with the other tribe, and that same person fucking kills somebody from the other tribe, and then Lawrence has to be the one to kill them to settle the dispute without sparking, like, a full-on battle between the 2 tribes. But that's that in the grand scope of the movie, that's only like 15, like 5% maybe of, like, probably not even that much of like a thread to consider in the grand scheme of things. That might have been cut, which I think would have been massively detrimental to the movie if they, because the character isn't even anybody of significance because they die really early on. It's just indicative of Lawrence's character and how at a certain point they're too, I think they're at that point they're too dead set on their goal to become this white savior to create the Arab nation, and he's willing to just kill a guy that he saved like not 15 minutes ago in screen time to keep that dream alive, which is
but like the point is that he doesn't want to. Like the point is that it's
right.
Like,
he doesn't want to, but then he
inciting
convinces
corruption.
Himself, he convinces himself that it is for the greater good, and that is like the lie that he keeps telling himself, which is a classic movie trope, Greek tragedy-esque lie to be like, it's for the greatest good. The ends justify the means, but it's really poignant in that scene because
and then they're like, I thought that fucked Lawrence up. Don't worry, he's gonna kill a kid in like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
I really liked all the scenes with the maybe just because I watched like To Be or Not to Be so recently, along with like Doctor Strangelove, but all the scenes with like the British military were really funny to me.
Yes, they're
all fucking goobers.
I know.
They are a lot of goobers in there.
I know this is a more recent scene, but genuinely I do just love the scene where they're in, like, the British military is just like in Damascus and they're just in there, and so the general's just like fucking practicing his fucking
his fishing
line.
throws. Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know,
maybe I'll do that.
I don't give a shit about this. I'm British. And I'm like, I guess, yeah, that is true.
Oh, man.
I feel like this is a movie that can also maybe do as well as it did, by, I think, potentially by how easy I feel it may be for especially the audience at the time to miss the fucking point entirely.
Well, that was another thing I was commenting on. I was kind of wondering if people at the time literally just think like, yeah, he was a white savior. He did good. He brought about the Arab nation. It came at a terrible cost to him, his soul or whatever, but he did it. And it was worth it. I think a large audience back then, and even, I don't know, I think some people today might not pick up on it, like that it was, they would think that the ends did justify the means, whereas it really didn't.
I feel like the conclusion you could very easily come to.
What did you draw for the chat this time? Oh my god, are you just AI generating shit? What is this?
No!
No! Ezra Miller punching Lawrence of Arabia.
They would.
Jesus Christ. Ezra Miller would punch anybody, apparently.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, I mean, well, no, they wouldn't punch anybody, but they'd punch anybody in Hawaii.
That's true.
Let's make
That's
that clear.
true.
Let's make that
It's
clear.
it's where their powers are most potent. So.
Why do they keep going back if they just want to punch everybody there? What's the point?
Why?
Keep punching people. What do
Yeah.
you mean?
Why did Lawrence keep going back, Nick?
Just think about how many people haven't been punched by Ezra Miller on Hawaii. Like that's so
No.
many missed opportunities there.
So
Yeah.
true.
Sorry, now my joke has led me down the horrific path. Every time Ezra Miller comes back from Hawaii, they're met by a British general who's like,
We promoted you.
Ezra,
Congratulations.
Ezra, good job out there, Ezra. We need you back in the fight.
Oh my god, you're fighting the good fight, Ezra.
I want to go home. I want a normal acting job. Like, Ezra,
You're the
are
best.
you sure? Ezra, you're the best. Are you sure? And Ezra's like, am I calling? Ezra turns British, etc.
Yeah,
Etc. Etc. Etc.
Truly the most terrible
yeah.
fate to
Yeah.
befall somebody.
Yeah, I feel like the point that you could very easily miss and kind of or the point that you could sort of
Misinterpret.
come up with, is the misinterpret is that these brown people can't be saved.
Yeah.
You tried
They
to
are just
losing your identity.
helpless.
You're better off going back home where you belong with the
Yeah.
good whites.
Yeah, it's just like, but Ollie, I think what you were saying earlier, Jacob, is like such a clear, like you have to completely ignore Ollie as a character to come away with that. I
Which
feel
people
like.
do, so
Which
like
people
it's
do.
understandable for to worry about that.
Well, I mean, it's like why would they pay attention to Ali? He's brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
uh,
Look, Lawrence is right there, and
If
he's
he's
an Arab.
He's so much better. He's a
Lawrence
much
was the
better
best
brown.
guy for the job, and he still couldn't save them. How are we supposed to?
Wow, it's a lost
Look,
cause.
I just don't get it. He's so trustworthy looking. He's just so I don't know how to explain it. He just seems so fair,
Look at it. Look into his eyes and tell me that's an untrustworthy man. You can't do it. It's just not possible. It's really you can't do it.
Lawrence rolling around like, how are you gonna look like an app? And he says, how are they gonna fucking question me? What do you mean?
I'm invisible. My Aryan blood gives me invisibility powers. You don't understand.
I'm invisible, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? Look, I'm walking on water.
I mean, that
Funny.
unironically, one of the funniest scenes in the movie is him being like, "It's fine," and then he tries to walk on water, and I'm like, I can't believe this shit's hilarious.
Did
it's
he do that at
such
the
a-
beach? Was it?
No, that's when they're in the town.
Oh.
When they're in the town,
Walked in the puddle, and it was like the whole like.
Oh my god! I didn't even real. Oh my god!
Yeah, see, subtlety. Subtlety just whooshes over his head.
I mean, the best moment of the entire movie commentary is Dylan just going, "Wait, is that Icarus?"
Oh,
That was a good catch. I wasn't
that
really
was a
paying
very
too much
good
attention,
catch.
but like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, big ass, fresco ass looking in the background.
Big fresco ass? Wait a minute.
I don't know. Okay, and I noticed something, but I don't know if I really put anything to it. But those were like Roman, like generals or leaders, and
That's just
the
a British
statues.
military
That's just
thing,
British.
yeah.
Okay, that's just British people being British.
I mean, there's absolutely you could take away some meaningful, something meaningful off of that.
Yeah, off
Yeah.
of the fucking how they see themselves as like the fucking what's it called?
the Roman emperors and
As the
conquerors.
culture,
Empire.
like as the cultured empire bringing order to the barbarians.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, like, that's just like,
reconquering the Mediterranean and North
Yeah.
Africa, as it were.
yeah.
You know.
But like, the problem with that is it's like, man, I can't really make that like a story thing because that's just real life. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Look.
That's just British people.
That's just British people. I'm sorry.
I was thinking about other stuff that the movie kind of does with it, and then it's so funny. It's so funny when they're like, "Hey, you could like help us take some of these towns so that the Arabs have like a base of operations," and they're like, yeah, but we gotta like protect the Suez and shit. So like, sorry, our hands are tied."
They're tied up. The Suez. It's so important for us.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know,
For us. Remember, Arab interests are British interests. We promise. We promise. Pretty pinky promise.
Artillery? You need artillery? No, you don't need that.
Why don't
There's
we
no
do
treaty.
artillery?
No treaty at all. Lawrence, hey, come on. We gotta tell you about the treaty. Let's get in the...
God, that was... Wow, that was advanced.
Nothing. Okay, good. Tell him that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow.
That's
Oh,
great.
and the
That's great.
what did you like? Was the American character a little sus to you guys about how like neutral they presented them as in the whole thing? Because it seemed I guess they did still kind of
Neutral. The man's like, hi, I'm here to generate war fervor in my country.
Yeah, they do that pretty well, I guess.
Or the
Yeah,
rotten
the American
newspaper.
the American man was a fine what's it called? Analogy
Fine.
for media in general. So I mean,
Yeah.
neutral. Look,
But-
if
but
Nick
I
knows
guess-
that he was neutral, then it worked.
Yeah.
Your usage of the word analogy for the literal reporter really struck
That's
me
true.
there.
That's true. No, but for the greater media as a whole.
Yeah, I just
So,
I
I'm gonna beat you to the punch. I'm gonna beat you
a
to
symbol or
The reporter literally spends the entire movie goading on Lawrence, being like, wow, you're so cool. Newspaper, wow, this is so hot and cool. You're so hot and cool.
Until he doesn't.
Lawrence commits a war crime because of all the people who push him to think he's the greatest man to ever live. I can't believe you would do this, Lawrence. You selfish son of a bitch. Anyways, I'm taking your pictures still. Click. I'm sending this one back to America.
Yep, this one's going in my cringe compilation. Yeah.
analogy.
Yeah. I guess they do spread it pretty good. It felt like almost I felt like the American was like let off easy as far as their representation of him, but I guess they didn't have him as much as the British officers, and he did push the profiteering thing a lot, or the motive, the war as a sport thing. That was a pretty big line that I was slipping on. So that was pretty fucking good. Yeah, there's just a lot. There's so fucking much in this movie.
Yeah.
It's a lot to tell. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, thinking about rating it for my Letterboxd review. It usually comes to how much stuff can I remember specifically that I didn't like, and I really can't think of anything that this movie,
That's it. Nick said he didn't mind the brown face. We got it on tape.
all right.
Send that one back to America, boys.
Okay. We got him.
God
Twitch,
damn
cancel his ass.
it. Yeah, you got me.
I'm reporting my own stream, but we gotta get out of here.
But as far as the story goes, I think it was a very good, humbling tale of fucking savior conflicts, and obviously the connections between this and Dune are way more apparent to me now by the end of this. It's not just white man in desert, it is down to the very all of the
I'm the
details
super
about
special
the
boy
savior
who can help
complex.
the people of this land.
Right,
I
exactly.
promise.
Yeah. And then him trying to bring together groups that just, they have histories that they just the main character doesn't understand and doesn't particularly care about. It's just
Now, I haven't finished the whole Dune story because I'm only experiencing it through the movies.
yeah.
Does Dune follow in step with Lawrence of Arabia with the representation of Paul Atreides as, yeah, this is a white savior. Don't be a white savior.
This is something I
Yes.
don't know.
I would not say that. I'm not sure how Dennis.
Oh wait,
Villeneuve
I'm
is
sorry. We should
going
probably
to
say
take-
we probably should have said spoilers at the beginning before we
Yeah, sorry.
going-
Spoilers for a
Spoilers.
Dune,
I guess
a
we're
book
gonna
that
talk
came out in
about
the
Dune.
60s.
spoilers
It
for
is-
Dune. Fuck you if
Yeah.
you're listening to
Spoilers
this.
for Dune, whatever. I guess. Spoilers for the first half of really Dune. I guess it's not really. It's not 100% clear exactly how Dennis will continue Dune Part 2 because there have been some liberties
Changes.
taken with the
Yeah.
book, and the focus of the movie is different than the focus.
Yeah, because in the first half of the Dune movie, I very much was like, "Y'all, this is a white savior story."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And,
should.
and I was called out. I was like, no, it's not just because there's a white person. I'm like, no, it's because fucking he's literally like, I'm the special white guy who's coming in to save you, savages.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know the whole story, so maybe at the end, I'll eat my shorts and be like, maybe this funky little white boy is kind of one of the woke ones.
I would say having.
Well, I wouldn't say. I feel like if you watch Lawrence, you know that Lawrence isn't really exactly one of the woke ones.
That's true. That's a good point.
That's not really the I feel like you should come away from this.
No, Pat has spoken for all peoples of the world. Lawrence was a good guy.
Woke as shit, dude.
Lawrence is an Arab. Don't you guys hear him say it?
He's a gay Arab. He's woke as fuck, dude.
Not a slur. Except for the times where he calls brown people slurs all the time throughout the movie, but still.
I don't know. Did Lawrence say the W word?
He said it at least once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But speaking from...
I wish he called me that.
He got out of the system. It was just a heated gamer moment. He was on a bridge.
Oh, yeah, you're right. The fucking bridge. No, he's on some train tracks. Let's clarify.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I would say, having read the Dune series, at least the three main books, I think it goes on to be much more of a commentary in the same vein as Lawrence of Arabia, where it's...
That's interesting.
It is a commentary about how, both white savior complex and then, letting people just blindly buying into the hype and following that pursuit and completely investing in it is just a death sentence for so many people.
Okay. Yeah.
And they kind of allude to it in the first half of in the movie, which is the first half of the first book, is that Paul sees in his future sight that he leads a great jihad, and
Don't say that.
that's what they fucking call it.
I forgot.
A quote. Frank Herbert describes it as a jihad across the.
Never mind. I might end up with Nick or Pat, where I think Lawrence is
really
more woke than the fucking writer of Dune.
It's literally like in light of the Mahdi uprising. They call him Mahdi and stuff, right?
Yeah, along the it is a religious crusade. It is a religious crusade in the vein or based on those that took place in the Middle East in the past. So I feel like that, at least for Frank Herbert's time or whatever, that made sense to call it that, and it makes sense in the context of the book. But regardless, it is very much a commentary and I would say a condemnation of the white savior complex and people buying into it.
I want to talk about the Mahdi uprising thing, because you mentioned you mentioned Frank Herbert being a reporter during something known as the Mahdi uprising.
No, I don't think he wasn't necessarily a reporter. Wow, I can't remember my history right now.
Because the only kind of there's a historical event known as the Mahdi's War, or the Mahdi Revolution, the revolt that happened.
That was
30 years before.
Yeah, before he was born.
Oh god.
Oh boy.
And
back to Larry.
Larry of Iran.
Larry of the Arabs.
Lawrence!
This will be some.
I'll wrap up my point about Dune being that the way they handle the portrayal of their main outsider character and how he unites a bunch of quote savages, right, is handled differently in Dune.
Yes,
Gotcha.
yeah. And there's definitely Dune, especially in the sequels to the first book, gets into a lot more weird space politics shit that is beyond the scope of what is in, say, Lawrence. I would say the Dune sequels were what if we went to British Parliament, where that one guy that was in some of the scenes was coming from, and we just had scenes with that involved, and that's a whole other plot thread. But yeah, it is also handled differently, even at the level of assembling the shit. What do they call in Dune?
Fremen?
No, not the. Well, the Lancerat is like the meeting of them. It's the. What are?
House Atreides.
No, not.
You mean the Fremen? Or
Yeah, the Fremen. Yes,
That's what I said.
You said House Atreides.
I said Fremen
Dylan.
Oh,
earlier.
he's fucking, you fucking deaf monkey.
Oh,
Whoa!
You know what?
Because he's
I'd like-
Italian.
Because he's Italian. I'd like to
Strike that from the record.
Trying to
and
animals.
and yeah, lastly, quickly, yeah, Dennis Villeneuve is doing is like that part one has like about 20% of the politics in the actual book.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. That they
I wouldn't even put 20%, I'll be honest.
It's very
It's
Did
a
you
fun little feast for the eyeballs.
yeah.
I do like balls.
I'm kind of the opposite. I think focusing more on Paul is the same thing that happened to me for like Game of Thrones, where they're like, "You like Jon and Daenerys, right?" I'm like, "No, these are my least two favorite characters." And they're like, "Well, we're gonna focus more on them now." And I was like, "Guess I'm not fucking following anymore." See ya.
Yeah, but
I could use a little bit more intrigue in Dune Part 1.
well, that's
Yeah.
yeah. I think it would have been cooler to see more of that in part one because I liked it a lot in the book because it was written
I'm glad
well.
we're all in agreement. Dennis Villeneuve is a hack and
A fraud.
Yeah.
fraud. Yeah, thank you.
Fucking
A
Blade
frog.
Runner 2049.
A frog.
a flute.
Oh god, the bell's going off.
Massive
The bell. Oh god.
flute. But yeah, very. I don't know. I think we probably said all we could say about Larry at this point. But
Pat had more to say
Oh,
about
sorry.
Laurence.
I was just saying, I was just trying to put it back to Larry because we were going into a lot of Dune, but fucking Larry, man, I mean, solid movie. No, I mean, there's not really much else to say about it. There's an intermission, which I like. Fucking Christopher Nolan fucking wishes.
Yeah. There-
I bet he actually fucking does. I bet he legitimately goes like, man, we should bring intermissions back so I can have 9-hour movies.
me and him are the same. Dune, you know what Dune should have been? It shouldn't have been 2 movies. It should have been 1 movie with a 15-minute intermission between the first 3 hours and the last 3 hours.
You know what?
Big popcorn break.
yeah.
Big popcorn break. Look, it would have made fucking movie places a little bit more money with the popcorn sales.
Exactly.
You set up a
You gotta sell-
restaurant
you just
inside
gotta
the movie
sell-
theater.
You gotta be able to sell like a double or 1.5 times price ticket to.
I'm fairly
to
certain.
consumers, though.
Yeah.
Fairly certain there are cultures out there like fucking. I think in Italy it's normal to have an intermission within a movie, and they have like intermissions at movies where like during like fucking Endgame or some shit. I
Yeah.
remember hearing that like there was like intermissions during Endgame where people would just get up, get some fucking like snacks and shit, get back to watching the rest of the movie midway through.
Yeah.
Thanks for Italian-splaining that to our Italian people in the audience.
No, yeah.
I don't
I
think
mean,
they
if it's
got
not
it.
Italians, fuck off. You know,
Yeah.
you should do that.
Yeah, I mean, they could set up a little restaurant inside the theater. They get money, like they could make hella bank off of that, and then yeah, they could upcharge the ticket because it's a longer movie. And as we know, longer movies mean that ticket price goes up, right? That's it's all based on the dollar value per minute spent in the theater.
I mean, that is kind of how the theaters see it.
No, I know. I'm saying that like half ironically, but like because it kind of sucks that that's how they would see it. But that's before we started watching this, Jacob was saying how that is kind of why the average movie time has been ticking up over the past couple years or past decade probably at this point. Because that's how movie theaters see it, and they're vying for your attention over other daily activities.
Why the average movie time is going up? Is
Yeah,
that what you said?
yeah. Like the average runtime of films.
I mean, I meant recently.
yeah.
I'm confused. Wouldn't the trend to see them go down in order to sell more showing?
So that's Nick. Don't blame him. He explained it poorly. So that's the trade-off. Is you're trying to maximize the number of showings while also contending with a secondary equation, which is maximizing basically control over your audience's day. These are two. The problem is that you make a movie longer, people are going to say, "Oh, I'm getting more for my money," And also, you will be commanding their attention for longer. So they'll be, quote-unquote, more invested in your intellectual property. I'm doing this in air quotes because when I say it, I want to kill myself. In Minecraft. But the trade-off is that then you have a longer-running movie, so you can only make a movie so long. But there has been a recent uptick in longer movies because that's kind of what's happening to Marvel movies, is that they're trying to get as many showing as possible at the longest length possible.
Yeah. They're seeing how far they can push on the length while still maintaining maximum
they're able to increase their showtime increase their runtime while still getting via showings because they're a monolith of a property.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. Like, yeah, I mean, you might know this, but for people who don't know, Disney commands a lot of control. Disney has one of the worst movie ticket cuts of any company, but you basically have to agree to their deal. Because if you don't agree to show every one of their movies, what they'll do is prevent you from getting a larger movie down the road. So they're literally, for lack of a better term, extorting the theaters to be like, we don't care you don't want to, we know no one's going to go see fucking Dr. Dolittle. But if you want the next Marvel movie, you got to show Dr. Dolittle, and you got to show it this many times throughout the day.
Yeah. And I think the other way I was kind of visualizing it when you're explaining investing in the intellectual property by having longer movies, like you go to see Endgame or whatever, you see an Endgame-esque movie, from Disney or wherever. It's like the longer the movie is, the more likely you turn it into a day. Like it is the event for the day. And that kind of mental connection, kind of leads into that brand investment, where you're like, oh my god, you gotta see the new Marvel event. Like, it's not even just a movie anymore. It's just, making a day out of it, which if, people like to have excuses to make holidays out of, whatever's happening. And so more holidays, quote unquote, can be made with Marvel movies, then Disney wants to keep doing that. And by making a movie longer, you could potentially increase the likelihood of that becoming a day's worth of event, TM. Which is not... that's not the reason that you should be making a movie longer. You should be making a movie longer to tell the story more fully. But as we saw with fucking Jurassic World Dominion last night, you could
2.5 hours, baby.
You could spend a whole lot of time saying a whole lot of nothing. So that's very clearly not the case. But yeah, Lawrence did very well with the amount of time. It was very, I would say, it was very necessary for the amount of time that it took.
And you can even say not necessary, but you at least when you watch it, you can feel Lean is. He's putting it all on the screen. He has an intent.
Good use of it.
Yeah. He's using it. He's not just, putting it there to put it there. He's using it because you can see the choices he's making as a director up there on the screen when you watch it.
Yeah. You're not watching the 15th CGI dinosaur fight because they asked for it.
That's what you asked for, Nick.
I know, that's what I asked for. But also, goddamn, there was so much pointless shit in there. But yeah, I don't know. Anybody else have any final thoughts on Lawrence? On Larry?
Larry the Arab?
Larry the first Arab.
Yeah.
Beekman's here.
Beekman.
here.
Oh, wow.
Beekman, we're on stream.
You're on recording.
You're being recorded live.
Yeah. Okay. What's your favorite part about Lawrence of Arabia? When he's Arab?
I'm invisible.
Not just any Arab. He was the first Arab, Jacob. The first one ever. The Arab nations. No. He was the first one.
It's true.
It's true.
Because he made it. Because he made it up.
Get the Arab National Council.
Yeah,
I mean, if I was British, I would also try to be anything else. So that's
almost like what I was like. At a certain point when he was talking that whole fucking big game about I am Arab now, I was like, Are you literally just like so desperate to not be British that this is what you're doing? Like, look, I get it, but like this is advanced.
A lot of the movie is just a cry for help. If we're honest.
Yeah. But he goes about it the wrong way. So, but yeah, thank you.
Something.
You know, literally start an uprising in a foreign country rather than go to therapy.
I mean, yeah, that is what happened.
And then Ali was like, "I can fix him," and then he was
Blowing my
so,
title
so
for my
wrong.
book about the Central Intelligence Agency, Dylan. God damn it.
Oh yeah, but yeah, thank you for bringing this idea about Jacob. This was a lot of fun.
It wasn't necessarily my idea. My idea was just like, I want more people to watch Lawrence of Arabia because it's a good movie, and then
Yeah,
you're like,
Makes
you wanna-
sense for this.
we could make content out of this, and I think we made good content out of this. I don't know, like I think.
I mean,
hopefully...
I'm gonna be real. I don't know how many people tuned into your
No, nobody tuned in, but I.
stream of you two just kind of sitting on your casting couch ass looking.
Shut up!
Wait,
You know it. You've been here. You know it's not a casting couch. It's not the leather.
Yeah.
I texted when I pulled up. I just gotta say.
But look, if somebody years down the road happens to come across this recording of our discussion of it afterwards and decides to take a look at the
It makes us immortal, Dylan.
yeah, makes us immortal, just like
I'm
Larry.
sorry. You said that in a so before you were watching Lawrence, Bichu had put on
The quarry.
this short film.
Oh.
No. It was called It's a Beautiful Day.
Yeah.
And,
Justin's dead.
It's such a beautiful day, I think.
It's such a beautiful day or something. Yeah, and the statement, I'm immortal, I'm gonna live forever. It really just got me.
But yeah, I don't know. This was a good time, and I thank you all for joining us on this journey, and thank you for coming all the way over here from Boston
I
over to
always
Syracuse. Yeah, I guess until we figure out what's the next special focus piece for a Horsing Around episode, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and peace out.
Don't stay safe.